right, Turnaround by Ornette Coleman. By the way, we're the band Love at a Distance. Love at a Distance, get it? So, and we're going to continue playing all the way straight till 8, but we're going to be kind of stopping and starting because our guy Conrad from Rubens is going to be doing some interviews, and so we'll play behind him and we'll start and we'll stop, and so you might see us starting and stopping. What's that? Yeah. Why don't you go? Why don't you do it now? Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick pee break, and then we'll be back in 5 minutes. Yeah, finish that beer and come on back. Keeping it real. We keep it real. Hey.
I got the blues for the highway, rambling blues, I gotta go. Well, I better start running, 'cause walking is just much too slow. I'm undecided I'd make it this way. Oh no, I just cannot make it this way. Girl, you got me worried every night and day. You know it's true now, and I'm just plain tired. Get away. Oh, baby, goodbye. I'm gonna be rambling, gonna ramble till I die. Gotta ramble, baby, get out of town, gotta get into something else till the day I die. Oh yeah. Till the day I die, I'm gonna be rambling. Oh yeah. Got to get out of here. So long, baby, goodbye. So long, baby, farewell. Goodbye, baby. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm gonna
Voyage. Voyage. All right, this next tune is a tune by the great Kenny Barron, great pianist. Made his, he's played with just about everybody, including Stan Getz. And we're going to play one of his great tunes called Voyage.
See, that's the front mic.
All right, Voyage. And let's do Sunny. Let's do Sunny. Sunny. One, two, one, two, three. Times at Growlers, good times at Growlers.
What's up, guys? I'm Conrad from Rubens Brews. Welcome to the second night of Ruebensfest 2020. So here we are this evening. It's a lovely night, even with a little bit of smoke in the air. Fortunately, it doesn't smell that bad. But outside of that, we've still got a few tables out here. We've got some great beers. We've got a lot to get into this evening. We do have Adam, our co-founder, and Ruben's dad. You know, our co-founder of Rubens Brews. We've got a lot to go through tonight. A lot of great beers. But yeah, for the time being, we're going to keep moving on as far as things are concerned. So I've got my notes here because it's easy for me to get off track. As most of you know me, I will ramble on and on. So I'm going to quick check this real quick before I hand it off to any other thing. So let's see what we got going on. Yeah, not a whole lot just yet, but let's take a look over at the band here in just a second. We'll see what they're doing, and then we'll get into our first little bit with Adam and Josh. Adam from Rubens, and then Josh here at Growler, guys. Let's check out the band real quick.
A little sunny there. Classic old tune from the 60s, right? Play another one? Would you like another one? All right, let's play some Charlie Parker. Oh, okay. All right, we're going to take
Luna, my partner in crime. We actually are introducing Adam here, the founder of Ruben's Brewing. You know, hello, my friend.
Yeah, I do have an accent. Yeah.
Oh, you do? I didn't even notice that. All right, so let's really brass tacks a little bit with everything. From what I hear and what I gather and what most people know, you got you cut your teeth really in the industry as a gift from maybe one of the smallest versions of your family.
Yeah. So when my son Ruben was born, our eldest son actually, he in quotation marks, right, bought me a homebrew kit. So it all started when I moved in 2004 to the US.
Okay.
So I thought I was moving to the land of fizzy yellow lager, but I was actually moving from the land of homogenized big beer. And craft beer here was kind of crazy. It really opened my mind to what beer could be.
It was definitely growing around that time for sure. Absolutely.
And it really just started building my palate. So my wife talks about me growing up on boiled vegetables in the UK, right? So
the land of bland stuff. Yeah.
Which I didn't realize it until I came here again, But my mum doesn't like you talking about that, but she doesn't deny it either. Right?
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah. Sorry. So then I'm pretty sensitive palate, so I'm self-training my palate.
Now, as far as your first time actually home brewing, what was that first beer that you brewed?
Yeah, so I went to Bob's Homebrew.
Okay.
Not far from here, right?
Yeah, right on the corner.
And I got an American Pale Ale kit.
Okay.
So brewed that. It was really good.
Oh yeah.
I was like, well, this gonna be good. So I did another two. Yeah, this was an extract batch. Did two more of those, and I thought, no, I need more levers here to play with. So they went to full grain mashes, and then within 6 months, I'd upgraded my system 3 times.
Okay.
to a 25-gallon semi-automated one that I built myself. So it's like
a monster of a homebrew kit.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I got the bug.
Now, how did that first beer come out? Like, what were your first thoughts? Like, when you're like, oh man, I brewed this beer. What were like the flavors and everything that you were like, what did you think about that first beer when it was brewed?
So it was a partial mash, so it was like extract with steep grains, and it was really good. But the problem is I can't just enjoy something. My mind is just always spinning, right?
Absolutely.
And so I was thinking about how I wanted to change it, and that's where it got into the mash profile, right? Okay, how can I maybe crispen this up a little bit? How can I take out some of that sort of stickiness? So that's where coming up with mash profiles is what I wanted to do. But the beer itself is really good. Like, a lot of people say their first batch was terrible.
Yeah.
My background, I was in finance before.
Okay.
So I followed the recipe like ad verbatim.
All right.
And I checked it a million times, right? So
doing math constantly on a piece of paper.
And I was really pedantic.
Most homebrewers know what that means.
Really pedantic about like sanitizing and stuff.
Yeah.
So worked out good.
Excellent. So like, as you've been in the industry for a while now, what about the industry actually makes it fun for you still to this day?
Well, I think there's two kind of things to that. So first of all, it's a very person-orientated business, right? It's like
Definitely.
It's all about interpersonal connections, and that friendship element is a big part of beer. Like, what other industry are you friends with all of your so-called like
we were talking about it earlier? It's definitely more of like a fraternity of sorts. It's like it's not about competition. It's it's about hey, your neighbors. Like let's have fun with this. Let's make something cool.
And it's craft as a whole, right? We're trying to come together and make craft better.
It's an ever-evolving situation for sure, man. And, and every year you're learning about new trends and new hops, and every day, I think, in my opinion, it kind of changes. You would probably agree in that matter as well too. Now, as far as like where the name Ruben came from, I don't think there's a lot of people at home that actually know about Ruben himself.
Yeah. So our eldest son, he bought me that homebrew kit to get me started. Like,
how old was Ruben?
He was just born, right?
So he went to the store and bought it himself.
Small. He was
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So, but going back to that story, so we poured the Finney beer taste as homebrewers in 2010.
Okay.
And I'll never forget the day before they were going to print the sort of like beer menu, the sort of beer list. They emailed us and said, "What's your brewery name?" And I said, "We're just Grace and Adam, right? No, but you need a brewery name." So then we had one night to think of the name. So we thought Ruben's Brews.
Was there any other names that popped in?
No,
that was it. You're like, that's Ruben.
Like, let's just do that because it's only for one night, right? And that's fine. But then we won the People's Choice. People emailing asking us for our beer, and then it developed from there. So. If we had thought about this, we wouldn't have named our son in such a hard to spell way. Right?
I'm sure. How many times have you seen RUE?
Yeah.
All the time. There's like times I'm like, even when I'm typing and stuff, I have to correct it. I'm like, oh, that's how you spell it. That's how you spell it. And then you definitely give Warren a little love as well too, if not mistaken.
So Warren's our youngest.
Yeah. How old is Warren now?
He's 5.
5, and he's got his own cider.
Yeah. When he was 3, he goes, "Why isn't it Warren's Brews?" It's like, you're 3 years old. Man.
Does he still say that?
He hasn't said that so much now. He's got a side of, and we're working on trying to like build that up as well. But it's we're a family business.
I would absolutely agree.
And I think it's important. It's in our name, right, to be like oriented like that.
And anytime you go into Ruben's, you can definitely tell it from all the love of dogs, same place as ours, to like how many kids roll around the place as well too. Beer isn't just strictly an adult thing. It's something that it's fun for family as well too. Like you sit back, relax, have a good time, and really just get together. It
makes it less of an issue then, right? Like if you're in Europe, like everybody is part of culture, right? Whereas it's not like wait until you're 21 and then go out and drink as much as you possibly can and catch up, right?
Chugging everything as humanly possible. Like even when I grew up like going to the bar was part of our tradition. Like I wasn't the only kid hanging around the bar playing little touchscreen video games and little slot video poker and slot. So
So being a founder, right? So if you haven't founded a company, you start off, you do everything, literally everything.
Yeah.
Clean the toilets, do whatever. And then as time goes on, you're able to hire people.
Sure.
But then what happens is there's always these jobs that nobody still wants to do.
Like clean the toilets?
That you have to do. So like, it's a couple of years ago, but I did have to like try and unblock the whole toilet system once, and that's kind of stressful. Like today, somebody's car got broken into opposite.
Oh
so
no.
I had to look to see a security system to see if we could see who it was. So you end up doing all of this random stuff that you never thought you would ever do.
So, we're talking about the founder and owner of Rubens actually cleaning toilets so that everybody can still have a good time and make some money. That's pretty actually fun, man. I mean, not fun per se, but like, it's interesting to know for sure. All right.
And we had the Mariners Moose come to the brewery
Oh,
today,
yeah, I
so
heard about that.
I was the host of the Moose. Just, it's not on your job description.
You never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
Absolutely. Now, if you were doing this, what would you be doing?
That's a good question. So, I don't know. I ran some finance teams before this.
Okay.
And I liked my job, so I kept that job for 18 months while we had opened, right? So
you worked at the brewery full time and you did that full time.
Yeah.
So how much sleep did you get?
Yeah, not much. With a 2-year-old.
Yeah, with a 2-year-old. So what do you like 2-3 hours a night probably?
Well, yeah, I get grumpy then. That's Grace. I'm sure.
I'm sure she probably has stories right now, and her eyes are rolling in her head as she's watching this.
Yeah. But yeah. So you do what you have to do, and I looking back on it, I have no idea how I did that. How we did that as a family, because that's kind of
because you guys definitely did this as a family and still are doing this as a family.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic to hear, honestly. That being the most important thing. All right, so let's get down to our real business and what we're really here for. We are actually going to be cracking this beer open right now. This is your Citra Crush. So one thing that we do as we open this. And Adam, would you like to actually pour these out for us?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I got to put them to work somehow, man. You can't sit here and be all fun. It better be a perfect pour. Everybody's watching at home.
Spilling.
Hey, it's all right. I remember my first beer too.
Yeah, I need a steady hand.
You have a couple more, you'll have a plenty steady hand. And as he's pouring this, I really want everybody at home to really look into that beer, take a big nose of that bouquet and tasting notes, and throw some questions up here. We'd love to hear about them for sure. We're going to drink them. Cheers, Adam.
Cheers.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so some of the questions I actually have for you on this Crush series. I love it. I'm looking down, I'm seeing everybody talk about how much they love Citra Crush, one of their favorites. I think Adam kind of agrees. Now, how would you describe this beer, Adam?
So I went to Yakima Tuesday. I went to one farm that was harvesting another variety, and I went to another farm that was harvesting Citra.
Okay.
It was night and day. Like the intensity of Citra as a hop is kind of what sort of like envelops it for me. It's just like you want a big hop sort of punch. Citrus kind of like molds that in.
Now, for the people at home that really aren't familiar with hop varietals, how would you really describe Citra?
So Citra, people talk about guava, papaya. They talk about these like soft tropical fruits, but then it also has more of a traditional Northwest sort of citrus punch in it. So I guess that's where the name Citra comes from, right? But it's a very layered hop, and there's only a few hops that, and this is a bit of a unusual explanation. If you get to a certain level of hop intensity, you start getting this raw cane sugar.
Sure, absolutely.
Which is like this pure sweetness that is so Moorish, to use a phrase, a British phrase.
Oh, Moorish?
Yeah.
That sounds familiar. I think they make an IPA called that, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm using it in the right context. But,
Humble brag.
But this can get there. So can Galaxy as well.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Citra can get this. And once you can get that white, that pure cane sugar sort of sweetness, to me, it's just, that's like perfect.
I mean, Citra definitely is one of the kings of hops for sure, and there's a reason why almost 99% of the breweries in the United States use them for pretty much everything. I mean, definitely we're talking about fresh hop season. That Citra is going to be one of the ones that everyone's going to see a whole lot of. All right, now I have some questions. Actually, I'm a little curious. Like, where did the actual term crush come from?
Yeah, so if you look on interwebs, I did a blog post when we came out with this as a series.
Okay, yeah.
So initially it was like a bigger name, but we ended up cutting it down just to Crush. But it was, so let's sort of step back. I had a recipe. I think we first brewed this in 2016.
Okay.
I think it was 2016. Now, and I had a recipe 18 months before then of a hazy IPA that but we had no tank space. That was when we were in a smaller brewery and we had no ability to brew it. So it's like, I wish we had got there because we'd have been there 18 months even earlier, but I had to build another brewery. I built 4 breweries in all of this time, so it's like just another year, another brewery.
So you got a rather small production facility, is that what you're saying right now?
We got lots of small production facilities.
You have a couple small ones going on everywhere, absolutely.
Yeah. But so the idea was to sort of just bring out the fruit nature, right? So if you do
you don't mind if I keep drinking, do you?
Oh, please
yeah,
do.
Please, absolutely. It's fantastic.
If you do a hazy IPA well, it should be a nice expression of a fruit-forward IPA, and not in a grapefruit way, because that's more of a West Coast like sort of bite, right? So to get this to finish soft, you need that more softer, rounded tropical fruit.
Definitely.
So that's kind of where the name came from, and that's kind of where the hops that we use kind of like are based in.
Now, you've definitely done a lot of crushes, but like, what's your personal favorite one?
Oh.
I know. I mean, you only come up with one every couple weeks.
Actually, Laurel Crush.
Laurel.
So Laurel is not a hop that you'd normally use in a hazy IPA. It's more of a lager, more of a noble-esque hop.
Mm-hmm.
We did Laurel Crush as one of the first ones, and it was absolutely phenomenal. And I was thinking about it when I went touring some fields, because the amount of laurel grown in the Northwest is like reducing over time, and it's stabilized now, but it was a lot more before.
Now, what makes that crush different from like, say, the Citro?
Maybe more of a lemon note.
Okay.
It takes it more into a citrus fruit, which is a dangerous place to get hazy IPA because it might get sharpness. But we had a nice blend in that particular batch, in that hop blend.
Well, that's fantastic. I think we're all going to actually be wrapping up here. Me and him. I really kind of hope it's on tap, because I see Conrad over there literally drinking all of it. So Conrad, take it easy. All right, guys, enjoy your beers. Cheers. Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys, here I am with Clark from the Growler, guys. For those of you that don't know, he's one of the OG employees here. We're gonna have Clark walk us through the menu in just a second, but just quickly, Clark, what else do you do when you're not here, helping arrange all these beers and getting people the right beer they want?
Yeah, so this is actually a part-time job of mine. I say part-time, but I'm still here like 4 or 5 days a week. The other half of my job is coaching soccer. I live, breathe, and coach soccer. So.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, man. We'll definitely have to nerd out some soccer stuff without him here a little bit later. We get into that whole football side of life with him as a different, being the Brit, and in that I know we're gonna talk about the Hotspurs a little bit later, but we'll get back into the beer side of everything with what we're working on. So go ahead and run us through your menu. There's a lot of beers on tap, and how do you guys organize them?
Well, so the first step in organizing our beer is actually the beer tender. You know, when you come up as a customer, the first thing I do is I greet a customer and I give them the lowdown. We got 60 different rotating taps. We got 50 beers usually, a bunch of ciders. It's, in general speaking, left to right is light to dark. We got 5 lines of information up on there. You know, we got the brewery, we got the name of the beer, what kind of beer it is, where it's from, the alcohol percentage, and even sometimes we got the IBU, you know, which is the International Bitter Units for those who don't know. So.
That's awesome. That's great. Well, guys, we're gonna walk you through a few of our beers coming through here. Starting off with number 12 there, the Farm and Oak, one of our sour beers. It's the Nectar Plum, which is actually one that Clark actually kind of suggested that we get from the brewery, which is really kind of rad. Clark, any thoughts on between that one and or the Montmorency cherry as well?
Yeah, I love the Nectar Plum personally. More than cherries, it's just plums are fresh this season. You gotta chase them down, which is why I did. You know.
Hell yeah! So looking at some of the other beers. So going into our Razzmatazz is a Raspberry Berliner Weiss. We have our Lily White Wit, which is aptly named after Adam's hometown football club, as the Tottenham Hotspurs, one of their nicknames. Going into the Fest Beer Lager. So Fest Beer Lager is a personal favorite of mine. It's one I can't wait for every year when we brew it. I've been on a big lager kick myself the last several years. It's hard for me not to drink too much of that beer. Moving down the line a little bit further, our Citra Crush. Citra Crush, I know we tasted as a group together last week. From there, I'm going to squeeze past. But we go from Citra Crush into Crikey, our tried and true fan favorite. It has been our first flagship beer, the first beer that we made and named as an IPA that hit wholesale. Going into summer IPA, love that big, bright grapefruit citrus character. The Zombie Crush, which doesn't exist very often. A really rad crush variation with a bunch of Zombie Punch infusion. Zombie Punch is a tiki drink infusion, some of those ingredients added to it, which has been pretty excellent. The Hazelicious is one of our tried and true year-round hazies. The difference between our Crush and our Hazy series, Crush, they don't happen as often as we would like. I say that. They happen, we get them in there, but Hazelicious is one that we can make happen year-round. As a recipe we could figure out, get it squared away, and make sure that there's still something hazy coming to everybody. Moving into our Autumn Harvest as a pumpkin beer. It's an Imperial Pumpkin Ale that really kind of heralds back to the first pumpkin beer we made when Mike, Adam's brother-in-law, drank way too much pumpkin beer and agreed to open a brewery with him. So we'll always have a pumpkin beer. Not that original one that Mike drank too much of, but we'll always have a pumpkin beer. Going into the Beavis and Three Riseman, two other beers from our barrel age system. That segment of the brewery has been expanding a little bit more over the years, which has been pretty excellent. And happy to actually get some of it a little bit more into the greater side of things. So I'm going to bring Clark back in just briefly. Clark, So of anything we have on tap tonight, is there a personal favorite of your own, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, as far as Ruben's beer goes, I always look for the Crikey on tap. It's my girlfriend's personal favorite. You can't beat the just fresh flavor. The nice piney beer, nice Northwest style IPA, kind of getting showed up by the hazy IPAs these days. So, all right. In addition to all the beer we have on tap from Ruben's today, we have a bunch of cans that they have been coming out with. Some new, some old. We got their nice 8-year anniversary IPA right here. It's got all their nice faces on it. In addition to all the Ruben's beer, however, we have a bunch of other beers in our cooler. We have a bunch of new IPAs in the front too here. We move on. We got some lagers, some sours down underneath. And we continue on here. We got some nice 6-packs, some more 4-packs. You got your singles in the bottles. You got your singles. You got CBD drinks. I mean, it goes on and on and on, guys. We got ciders. We got gluten-free beer. We got the nice dark and dank stuff over here. Just come on by.
Hey guys, we're back right now, so we're just going to jump right into it. Right now, we got the hop idol going on right now, and can you give us a little history on the hop idol, actually?
Yeah, so coming from a home brewer background, right, I wanted to still sort of give back to the homebrew community to some extent, but also recognize that commercial brewers can learn a lot from home brewers. I got into a commercial brewery because as my group of home brewers, my homebrew club that I was in, I honestly felt that we could brew better than commercial breweries.
Yeah,
for a number of reasons.
For sure.
But, so like, we can learn from homebrewers, and homebrewers can learn from us. So it's a way of doing that.
And as far as the hop idol is concerned, I believe this one's a two-time winner.
Yeah, so the guy who won this, he had won 2 years ago as well. So like,
really?
Yeah, he's pretty amazing brewer. Yeah.
And like, I mean, how many contestants do you have, on the average every year?
120.
Wow. So this guy won twice out of over 120 people each time around.
That's tough odds.
Honestly, my friend, you should be brewing on a production side. But let's go and get into it a little bit. As we're pouring this beer, Adam, if you don't mind pouring yours, I'll pour mine.
Of course.
Excuse me, Miss Luna. I'm sorry. I hope you don't mind. She's hanging out. Yeah. All right. And again, same questions, folks. If you're looking at home, like, tell me what you're seeing, tell me what you're smelling, tell me what you're tasting. All right. Adam.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Thanks for having
absolutely.
us.
I wish my pour was better than yours. So tell me a little bit about this beer.
So when we do Hop Idol, we have a lot of people, a lot of judges that come from throughout the industry, and we normally whittle it down to maybe 10 beers, and we sit around a table and we try those 10 beers. And with this one, there's a hop called Ruebensfest in there that is a really hard to get hop, and it was one of the reasons why we thought we shouldn't pick this one.
Why is it a really hard hop to get?
Because it's not grown very much, and in the southern hemisphere, a lot of southern hemisphere hop varietals, if there's a lot of demand for them, they don't grow more. It's just kind of set. That's how much they can make. So like it was a struggle to get it, and luckily Sean from Hill Farmstead managed to give us some for this beer, and I need to get him a couple of 4-packs back so he can try.
Just a couple?
Yeah. try it back, but yeah. So that's kind of interesting. And then the other thing that's interesting with this beer, so like contextually, like we tried the beer and it was a great beer, but also like what can we learn from it? So like Ruebensfest we had never brewed with.
Okay.
And then if you look at the malt profile, this has no flaked malts in, which for a hazy IPA, like most people say, oh, you got to put flaked malts in as like a kind of starting point, right? This had no flaked grains. So this is like Vienna, Gambrinus pills and some malted wheat. So it's all about water profile to get that creaminess, which is something that we can learn from. And it's also like you've got to be careful with the haze. If you don't have flaked grains with protein in, you might not get haze, and then you might lose that kind of mouthfeel.
I mean, it's got a wonderful flavor. You definitely get like this like a little bit of sweetness, but definitely like a little bit of like woodsiness to it. There's so much stuff going on in this. I think it's a fantastic beer. And again, this guy really should be brewing on a production scale. I hope you're seeing this. All right,
Hey, Alex.
Is that his name? All right.
It's on the can. If we put his name on the can.
I love it.
Alice Cooper.
All right. As far as some things like I am curious about, and I think a lot of other people are pretty curious about. If there were any 3 breweries around the world, where would you want to be at?
So beer. Well, we talked about before, like beer's a lot about people.
Yeah.
But memories are a lot about time and place as well.
Absolutely.
Right? So there's a lot of elements of beer that, like with any food or drink, right, it reminds you of a time and place. So for me, like the first one would be Fuller's. So
London Pride.
Yeah, when I moved here, London Pride was always what they gave you on the flight, the BA flight.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then additionally, I was born within 3 miles of Fuller's Brewery. I worked within 3 miles of Fuller's Brewery for multiple years.
So you went there definitely on happy hour.
Yeah.
Or after happy hour, or late nights, or meetings, or whatever, yeah.
So when you think about time and place, not only does it remind me of a connection to where I came from, but in multiple ways, not just a flight. But like,
And that's one of the wonderful things about actually having beer. It's like you're really getting around your friends and family, or even just your coworkers, and just sitting back and relaxing and having those memories to be like, oh yeah, I remember hanging out at this brewery doing this. Oh, I really remember hanging out, and I'm so sorry for what I did. Yeah. I think you know what I'm talking about. Like, you just apologize the next day. Maybe wake up with some random food wrappers around you. All right. Some of the other ones, though, actually, I'm really curious about.
Yeah, so I used to work for a German company, so I would go over to Germany a lot, Bonn, and Brauhaus Bonch is the local brewery in Bonn. And in Germany, you tend to have one beer that's a year-round beer, and then one seasonal. That's like all they have. Like,
okay.
Unless if you're lucky.
So just 2 beers?
Yeah, so 2 beers, right? Yeah, if you're
Literally.
Lucky. So like, it's close to Cologne, Bonn, so I've been to all the Cologne breweries, close to Düsseldorf, so I've been to all of the old beer breweries. But Bonch, nobody really knows about it, but it actually does a Zwickel Kolsch, which...
Interesting.
Yeah, who does a Zwickel Kolsch as one of their only beers year-round?
It's like, you're going to do 2 beers, you're going to do a Zwickel Kolsch? Like, yeah, that's quite adventurous, actually.
And it's so good.
Oh, yeah?
It's so good. And the little Stange that it comes in, like the 300 milliliter
little squatty guys.
Yeah. And then they replace you. When I was in Düsseldorf once, it sounds like a joke, I was in Düsseldorf with 2 Americans, 2 Germans, and an Englishman walking to a pub.
I feel like there's a joke there somewhere.
And what they do is they come around and like replenish your beer without asking you, unless you put a coaster on the top, right? And so everybody else had finished, but I had a little bit left. And he goes, "Oh, you can spot the Englishman. I bet you want tea." Like literally, like it's like, well, that's a bit harsh.
It speaks out to you?
Well, again, time and place. A West Berkshire brewery, so I grew up in Berkshire. My parents live a drive away from this brewery, and it's again very different to anything you see here. So it's like, in terms of brewhouse design, it's very similar to an American brewery, but it's built on an Earl and a Dutch and Duchess's estate.
Okay.
And the tap room is built in an old milk farming parlor.
All right.
And you look out over rolling hills. It's pretty, like just farmland forever. And it's
so like, what about that? Obviously we're talking about locale, which is also really, really important too. Like, you want to feel comfortable when you're drinking a beer, and you want, sometimes it's really nice to be able to sit back and relax and get that view when you're drinking. But like, what about their beer really spoke to you?
Well, so they're very traditional British style. So like, they have a great dark mild, like an amazing dark mild, and their main beer is bitter called Good Old Boy, and it's so drinkable, and the ABV is relatively low, and it really utilizes British caramel malts in the right way. So like, you can get this like ruby hue, but it's a beautiful, like, if you use it in the right way, that sort of sweetness is like prune-esque, but like not in a cloying way, and it's just like a pop of brightness at the finish of the palate. It's like they've dialed in that beer.
It sounds like you really miss those breweries back home. It's really great that a lot of those breweries actually are exporting out here as well too. So it's really nice to really get that whole like variety. And like beer, we think that beer is so like regional. Like, we're definitely spoiled in the Pacific Northwest for sure with these amazing IPAs. But like, getting, just great like dark miles, and, our ESBs from all over the place. It's been really, really cool.
Yeah.
All right. So like, on an average day, Adam, like, what's your job like? What do you do normally during the day besides everything and cleaning toilets apparently?
So you kind of think, right? So like, for me, it's like, okay, so what beers are going to be the next styles that people are going to want?
Being ahead of the trend is the most important thing.
So you got to think about like, what are you seeing? What green shoots are you seeing? What trends might you be seeing? So like, we talk about that. I got to support my team, right? So like, I'm there to.
You're talking about your football team, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm going to have to support them. But like,
Lily White?
Yeah, Lily White. So So Lily White you want to talk about that?
Yeah, let's go ahead. Absolutely, we'd love to hear a little bit on that.
So yeah, my soccer team, my football team in
Football.
England, right? Yeah.
Let's get it right.
So my dad was born in Tottenham.
Spur?
Tottenham Hotspur. When I was 4, I asked him, what is the best team? And he said Tottenham. And I didn't know any better. And now that's like destroyed me for the rest of my life.
Dude, Adam, being a fan, like you're born into it. You don't get to choose. Like it would be awesome to be able to choose like a winner every year.
It's hereditary.
But you deal with the pain. You deal with the pain. My first ulcer happened from a sports team. We won't talk about it, but it definitely happened. You know, and like there's definitely been a couple tears coming down the eyes a couple times. Absolutely.
You do.
And as a Tottenham fan, I'm sure you experienced that as well a couple times.
Yeah. I had a season ticket before I moved here.
Yeah.
When Tottenham came to play the Sounders, I don't know if people remember that.
By the way, Christina's saying right now, because our back is turned, Sounders have 5 goals right now in the current game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I didn't realize they were playing a practice squad.
Sounders played against Tottenham, like maybe in 2014. I think it was 2014, and we brewed a beer for charity to sort of celebrate that. And our captain of 10 years came and tapped the cask. And he was the captain of England for many years, and like
you didn't fanboy out at all. Not at all.
It's like,
not at all. Were you wearing a kit? You were in a kit, weren't you?
Oh, sure I was. Yeah. But like
you vaguely remember one eye.
Yeah. And then like he tapped the cask, and I remember like he'd walked out captaining England in front of 80,000 people. And he was asking me how to tap this cask. Well, this is a lot easier than what you've done. So like, just hit the bloody thing, right? Just hit it.
So right now, Lynn Simmons is asking, what's your favorite style to brew at the current time?
Oh, that's a good question.
She said she likes barrel-aged beers, but there's so much you guys are offering. But like, what's your favorite?
So, what we talked about what I like about the industry, and one thing is about the people.
Sure.
The other thing that we didn't get to talk about is about process, and it's a journey, right? You never actually get to your destination because you always can improve, right? So that sort of constant challenge is what I like. And so for us, what is that constant challenge right now? Well, spontaneous beers. So we've had a cool ship for 3 years. We've had a cool ship for 3 years now, and we've got the 3rd year's batch in. So we'll be able to start releasing a number of spontaneously fermented beers. So that is like some are aging on fruit right now. So it's going to be kind of fun just to see how that kind of process works.
So I think real quick, actually, we're going to be talking about a little bit about your autumn harvest. We don't have any in front of us right now. Hopefully we'll have some shortly. But can you throw a little bit about your autumn harvest going on right now? Tell me a little bit about that.
So let's talk about pumpkin beers. So we talk about a family brewery, right? It's not just me and my wife, it's also my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, my wife's sister and her husband. And when we started this, you need a nudge. So one of the nudges was my company was going to get bought out, and so I was going to lose my job because I was in a rob. So I thought, okay, I can. Well, actually, that fell through, and so I'd signed a lease for a brewery space and had to keep my job. So
really?
That
wow.
But that's another story. But the other one was my brother-in-law, Mike.
Yeah.
He was a Bud Light drinker, like permanently, and I converted him on pumpkin beer.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how many people get converted to craft beer.
You go from Bud Light to pumpkin. That's fascinating.
Quite a jump. So pumpkin beers are like important to us, right? But obviously in the industry they've kind of softened off a bit. But for us it's important. Breadth is important, and also our history is important to have a pumpkin beer in the lineup. So with this beer, we really, that whole pumpkin pie idea of that sweetness, that body, the spice level. Being British, right? I'm very sensitive to everything. We don't overload the spice because I'm pretty sensitive to that. So that's kind of like, it's a nice meld based on a pumpkin pie as a food concept.
I mean, as far as doing a pumpkin beer, what do you think sets that beer apart from every other pumpkin beer that's out there?
Well, I think for us, we have a few sort of pillars, like key tenets of what we're about. Balance, breadth, trusted guide, and glass backwards. And when you look at balance, that's what sets that beer apart.
I think one of the fascinating parts about your autumn harvest beer, I should say, it cranks over 8% on the ABV. Like, you're making an imperial pumpkin on us, huh?
But when I'm talking about that I'm starting from a food concept and converting it into a drink. So like I want to have an element of sweetness and body, but not make it overly sweet, right? So that ABV is there to support that sort of mouthfeel. But balance is the most important thing with that beer. Like,
I think it's a beautiful beer. We do actually currently have this beer on tap and in bomber bottles as well. Also available, obviously, at Ruben's as well too. But I recently tried it. We just tapped it yesterday. I got the chance to try it. Very well balanced, and I got to be honest. Pumpkin, not my favorite. This one is a beer I actually could get behind.
Yeah.
It's got sweetness to it. It's got a little bit of balance, the earthiness that you're kind of looking for. That pumpkin flavor.
Yeah.
If I was going to drink a pumpkin beer, probably the one I would probably choose. So
it's about like the one that converted my brother-in-law was about toasted pumpkin seeds.
Oh, that's my favorite part about actually like Halloween and pumpkins, ripping out those seeds and toasting them and eating them. So I totally get it.
I dry hopped a beer as a home brewer with toasted pumpkin seeds, and that converted somebody from a Bud Light drinker, which is kind of crazy.
So from a fizzy yellow beer drinker to an actual, you're gonna drink a pumpkin-y like fall harvest beer. That's awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
I totally love it, and I hope everybody at home or everybody who has it in front of them is enjoying that beer as well. So some of the things I actually want to talk about too. Let's see here, Adam. Obviously, it's like you've been in this industry a while. What do you think is going to happen? Like, what do you forecast? Like, what are you looking forward to around this future?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the lager movement is moving. So we all still craft is only 16% of total beer, which is to me is kind of crazy.
That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Really?
Yeah.
It's only 16%?
Volume, 16%.
Wow.
In the United States as a whole. In the Northwest, it's more than that. I think it's 30%. But it's still like most people don't drink craft beer, which is kind of crazy, to me. But I mean, we've obviously seen seltzer, and like what I'm trying to think about is like, why do people even want to drink seltzer? Because like oftentimes to me it tastes very artificial and not even really thirst quenching. Some of them don't even have that dryness. So what are people really looking for, and how can craft react to that? Like it's not a milkshake IPA that's a response to that,
Let's alienate our lactose friends.
Yeah. So as an industry, we need to craft and needs to think about how we cope with that. But
we're giving some people some of your pumpkin beer samples.
Excellent. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I think we've been up enough of
lagers are the next thing.
I absolutely agree.
So
coming from a crispy boy myself, I really and they're a great craft art. Oh yeah, well, I mean the fest beer is fantastic. We probably spent way too much time talking about that yesterday or last time. We'll definitely do it again for sure. But we're gonna go and wrap away, take a step back, and actually watch people enjoy these beers. And we're gonna keep drinking.
Yeah, cheers to that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks, everybody.
All right. So how many pumpkin beers have you had, Nathaniel?
Hey, man, this is the first one, believe it or not. I know it 'tis the season, coming up, right? Pumpkin season, October. Let me have a sip. Oh, yeah. It's really not what I expected.
So this is an Imperial Pumpkin Ale. So I think the ABV is around 8.7%, I think.
Nice. I'll take it. It's got a very beautiful tartness to it. I have to say it's a complex taste. Very, very appealing.
How about the rest of the band? What do you guys think? All right, you guys gonna play another song for us? We're gonna go visit some other people. We gave a ton of pumpkin beers out, and Eileen and I are gonna go out there and say hello to some of these folks and see what they think of Adam's infamous pumpkin beer.
All right, marvelous tune by the great Herbie Hancock. Herbie got his start with Miles and then went on to lead many, many bands. He's still at it. He's about 80 years old and kicking. He's in great shape. Marvelous composer. So should I play? What's that? Yeah. Should I play the intro too, or sure, if you want to? I mean, I can play it. Why don't you play it and I'll come in. I'll come in on the melody. A little faster. Oh, you like it that? Well, you know, you count it. You count it. You count it.
Can you tell us about what you thought of that pumpkin beer?
Really good. Like perfect amount of maltiness, perfect amount of hoppiness. I've had some pumpkin beers in the past that are just super fucking pumpkin-y. Sorry, about the sailor's mouth. Some of there's just super pumpkin-y, like right amount of pumpkin, right amount of flavor, and good balance.
So you're drinking the Autumn Harvest. So Autumn Harvest is a beer that Adam brewed. It was one of the beers that really started Rubens in a way. So convinced his brother to join him. If he could make a good tasting pumpkin beer, he said that's like he would help him run the brewery.
Well, he did a damn good, fine job at it. So I'll be getting some before I leave for sure.
All right, thanks.
Like a double or a imperial pumpkin beer. I'm gonna give you a sample. Amazing. I'll have another one. Yes.
Have you tried as well?
I did.
Oh, nice, similar, yeah. Yeah.
sip on camera. We want to see, make sure you don't wince.
I like it because it's a pumpkin beer, but it's not too heavy. It's nice and light drinking.
Like sitting under the hops right here. Yeah.
We were here 2 months ago, and we had little plants, and now it's like nice and
That's called Tell Me a Bedtime Story. Tell Me a Bedtime Story. Herbie Hancock. Amazing. The great Herbie Hancock. Thank you. Glad you liked it. We're going to continue with a contemporary of Herbie's, Chick Corea, another great composer and pianist. This will be our last tune, and this is in 3. It's a jazz waltz by by Chick Corea. By the way, Chick and Herbie are contemporaries. They've done a bunch of albums together, 2 pianos, just amazing. Both of them played with Miles Davis. Great composers. This is a lesser-known piece by Chick Corea called Windows. Sea Journey. Oh, God, next time, Sea Journey. Kind of like yeah, it is. At least that much. 4 measures. 1, 2, 3, and...
All right, guys, so here we are. I'm here with Greg, Ashley, and Adam. Kind of cool to have a few people here from the brewery with us this evening. So Greg is our guy behind the guy who basically moves everything through our multiple facilities and works with Ashley very closely in keeping our inventory kind of squared away and tight as it operates through multiple facilities. Ashley is our taproom manager. Also, my lovely wife was put up with me for way too long. And of course, you've all met Adam, who is not my wife, but has also put up for me for a good chunk of time now. So kind of some good times. So
Likewise, you put up with me.
it's teamwork, we all have a high tolerance level. So guys, as we're sitting here, it's kind of cool to have you guys out here with me, because occasionally we see each other at the brewery, but I mean, as beer-wise, like Greg and I've seen you at the Festival of Dark Arts a few years running. Like, outside of stouts, what else do you drink, man? What else do you get into?
Well, I like really big beers, so I like double IPAs, triple IPAs. The Crush series is great. It just mixes up and so many different options with that. So, other than stouts and big IPAs, those are my favorites.
There we go. So yeah, we just tapped Triple Crush, and I haven't tasted this batch yet, but I'm sure you'll get into that here pretty soon yourself. But on that note, Ashley. So for those of you that don't know, is our taproom manager. Ashley and I got married at a brewery in Texas a long time ago. She was mostly drunk, which is why she kind of liked me in the first place. So that all worked out, and she said yes, so that worked in my favor.
You got us to write it down.
Yeah, exactly. You got her to sign it. There was a witness saying you're stuck to him now. So on that side, Ash, beer-wise, I know you're drinking Beavis right now, but what else do you like to drink?
Right now, I'm mostly into like lagers or like a really light-bodied West Coast IPA with a nice dry hop to it. Between those two, like in-house, like our Hellas Lager or Ruben Select are like my go-tos. Otherwise, our summer IPA are still like my loves.
I love that. Like, right there with you on that. Adam, I'm sure you've talked a lot about different beers already, but typically when you are drinking, what is your current go-to?
I think I might be the opposite of Greg, actually, because my tolerance as I got older has just gone off a cliff. So ABV is the king for me. So like lagers are when I say. But what about you, Conrad?
So on I've been on lagers for a long time. Beer side of life. I used to be right there with Greg. The more imperial, the better.
Imperial oatmeal stout.
Imperial oatmeal stout.
Too many of those.
I woke up to many half-full growlers next to the nightstand, trying to drink that after drinking it all night at the brewery. Still a favorite of mine. And, it's kind of funny because years ago we did a employee bio that we kind of shared online. And at that time there was the question of if you could be any one beer, what would you be? And then it was a barrel-aged stout. Now it's like, oh God, any lager. Like, I still love those stouts, but in moderation, kind of like myself and my own personality, less is more.
Special occasions.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So, yeah. Outside of that, guys, anybody getting anything else? Like, I know we've been working on Warren Cider as a side project, something else that still won't be in the public side too often outside of our own tap room for a bit, but Adam on that side of creating the pub cider that you kind of grew up with. How cool was it to try and make your own cider with the help of with that contract with Three Keys?
It's fun, right? You use the same principles about flavor profiles and balance, but you just have different levers, so it makes it like the same principles are there, but like it's important to recognize the different ways of doing it,
right?
And learning them and being humble, like and we're getting there, right? We need to start being able to like brew more, and we got our brewery license as a cidery, so we're actually also a cidery technically.
Nice.
But we don't have any tanks to put the cider in right now, so we're halfway there.
There we go.
But I just want to say, like, if this is just banter, right?
Yeah.
So remember when we were in 1406?
Yeah.
And then Ashley and Conrad had their own table that was like their table, like nobody else. It was an unwritten rule. It didn't say reserved on it, but it felt like reserved to say
It was awkward if anybody else was there.
It was weird.
We didn't know where to stand.
Yeah.
Other customers didn't know what to do. They would be like, why? What's going on? Why?
Got a Rubens IPA flight here.
All right, nice. You can just set it right here in the middle.
So it goes Crikey, Summer, we know what that is,
Zombie.
And Hazelicious.
Perfect.
The Citric Crush just blew, so we've got those 4 IPAs now pouring for Rubens.
Nice. Well, very cool. I love that. So,
Make sure they're not poisonous.
There we go. We're obviously not all going to share. If anybody wants to take a sip of any particular one, more power to you. All right, I'm going for. I guess I'll go Zombie Crush. This is peer pressure at its finest. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Oh, there we go. The slightly distanced. Cheers. I just put my finger in your beer. Yeah, been a lot of fun, Adam, like you were saying, with that original table. It's like we joke that I've always just like, cool. You can see my ass imprint on the brewer's deck. That's stainless steel. Like that is a joke that I use regularly because we were absolutely always there.
But we had the recycled material tables,
right?
And so they're made out of recycled plastics. But over time, remember that original layer like wore off?
It did.
And then bits of garbage like recycling out.
The tables, you start getting a little furry as you broke through multiple layers. It's like.
So we upgraded.
Yeah. The tables had their own pulp. It's like pulp or pulp free.
But you were there on that first day, right?
Yeah.
We were. Yeah. Customers on day one never left.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Until you were forced to hire us.
Yeah.
No, I was not forced. We're very fortunate to have you. But, I mean, you know us better than we know ourselves to a lot of extent, right? Because you've seen us and how we're presented, not what we thought we were presented as.
Right.
It's like,
it's been fun to be a part of the journey on this, and Greg bringing it back into you in terms of being the newest one of us here and getting thrown into such a big role of us in the back end. Try to think on that side of it. I mean, shit, thanks, because you've got to be one of the hardest working people in the brewery, having to deal with so many different facets of wholesale distribution, tap room, salespeople that try and take kegs on a daily notice.
Well, I'm coming up on my second year, and I came in right before we switched over to the new place at 800, so I got to see about a month or two of how things used to be, and then how it's been since this giant expansion. And you get this brand new building, you think you couldn't fill it up, but we filled it up in a week or two, and we just got more beer than we can handle. So we're really cranking it out, and I can't believe how you did it before you got this place at 800, certainly. Let alone the original spot, which is just so tiny. When you go over there and see it now, it's just it's unbelievable.
It's cool to see how far it's come through all of that. I mean, just like one of those things that I always said of like just meeting Adam and Mike in the early days, and for this to grow as it had. I remember like the original kind of goals of the brewery is just like, if our beer can be found anywhere in Seattle, that'd be awesome. And then as our world grew, that world grew into what we could do, and having to kind of reinvent the wheel to keep things going and unfortunately keep up with customer demand, which is just a blessing that everybody loves our beer. Thank you for making the quality beer. That makes that easier for us, But yeah, it's
not just me. There's 35 of us, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's a team effort.
It's a small but mighty team.
Like we mentioned last week with the long days, short years. There's so much truth to that. Of those years disappear, and you don't notice when you're there. It's dark when you go, and it's dark when you come out. Even in the summer sometimes. Obviously the winter, we all do that pretty easily, but kind of crazy on that as far as it goes. But yeah, it's kind of some fun times with a lot of it.
But Greg, you were a customer before you joined us.
That's right. Yep, I remember going to the original spot, and I remember going to a bunch of festivals at 5010, and started working next door and started showing up a whole lot more. So glad to be part of the team, and it just feels like home. It's great. Yeah,
that's great.
For some of those of you at home, so we refer to all of our buildings by their street addresses. So 1406 being that first brewery at 51st and 14th.
53rd.
Scratch that, 53rd and 14th. 5010 is the tap room that most everybody knows now, and then 800 is our production facility that's over off of 8th Ave in Ballard. So
inside baseball.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You've seen some of the behind-the-scenes things when it comes to behind-the-scenes verbiage, banter, whatever. When it comes to what we talk about as far as the brewery is concerned, so really kind of fun. We rattle those numbers off so easily and forget that you all don't live at our brewery as well. So. Yeah. So Ashley, since you've joined the team, I'm going to put you on the spot. Biggest surprise. What a weird question. Wow. And I'm giving that one to my wife, and she's going to hate me for it later. So like this luck is what I get to. I'm a lucky man.
But they had worked together before, so it wasn't a surprise of working together.
Yeah, I'm like, biggest surprise. That's kind of weird. I mean, I don't know that I was surprised by anything. I mean, I volunteered at festivals for a long time and then worked part-time. I got paid in actual monetary compensation rather than beer, which was cool. I was like, wow, I get both. That's awesome. And then eventually was like, taproom position came open. I'm like, hey guys, what about me? And they're like, really? That's cool. And I'm like, that's cool. So yeah, I wouldn't say like there's been any real surprise. It's been a lot
shooting this bit tonight is probably realistically the biggest surprise.
Yes. I thought I could just be here and not and drink beer, but cool. That's all right. It's been a fun journey. It's been a fun ride. It's definitely been, challenging like any job, but the rewards I think outweigh, the blood and tears and all of those fun things that go into working really hard to like make something thrive. Yeah.
All right. Well, it also looks like another tasting flight's appeared here in the not too far distance. So
I was thinking of you guys should guess.
Oh, good
Sorry
Lord.
about the head on this one, but it's precious nectar. I don't want to waste any of it.
So guessing wise, I'm betting 3 Reisman, Beebus, the Montmorency Cherry, and Lily White Wit.
Nope, you got 3 out of 4.
Son of a. All right. So
this
what?
One is probably the hardest one to figure out. It's on the very left of our tasting board.
Oh, the Farm & Oak Nectar Plum.
Yes, that is it. Oh.
She called it.
Eyes. You didn't even have to smell it.
Son
Actually,
of
you
a.
could have smelled it and probably figured it out.
Yeah, that's actually probably a good point. Well,
there you go. Enjoy.
all right, guys. Anybody who wants to get in after any one of these, again,
I was gonna say you should
we can even leave the Beebus for you too. It's like you're drinking little Beebus, you can top off your glass.
No,
Ash and
I'll leave that for you.
Ash and I can share some Farm & Oak Cherry.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
We're married, so that's okay.
And we work together. That's one thing.
Yeah, right.
Within our brewery, we have 3 married couples.
Which is actually really funny because
our founders.
Yeah,
and us.
right. Yeah, exactly. You know, there's that silly side of even one of our employees the other day, through the rumor mill, heard that Conrad and Ashley were dating, which actually made us crack up because pretty obvious. We've been around the brewery long enough. I think most people know that pretty easily. But then it also turned out that somebody else didn't know that Mike and Liz, you know, Ruben's aunt and uncle, didn't know that they were actually married at one point, which I find also hilarious in terms of that. It's easy when you work with people and you hear names, but you don't always put those two names together. Kind of crazy because now, especially as we exist in 3 different buildings, we don't run into everybody as much as we used to.
Because of COVID.
Yeah.
Wrap it up in like 30 seconds. And then we're going to come back and close.
So there we go. So we got about 30 seconds, guys. So looking in through some of that, like we were saying, we do try and keep our teams pretty separate with COVID in their different facilities. But as a whole, you know, the good old days pre all of this, that we could have a beer together. Even our own 8th anniversary where we shared a distance beer in the sour facility.
Yes, we did.
You know, it was just a very short, brief little window of 5 of us having a beer, 6 to 8 feet apart in a big, almost circle-ish.
Strange times, but you got to make the most of them, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, pretty.
Cheers.
Cheers to that, guys.
Cheers to many more.
Absolutely. You know, the bottom of some of that. There we go.
Yeah. Bottoms up.
And one thing we talked about, if you've been tuning into these shows, is there's going to be one lucky winner and will be the Chancellor of Ruebensfest 2021. You're going to help us pick out the bands, pick out the beer, and you know, when all this COVID stuff is in the rearview mirror, you're going to help us put on a great party. Also, you'll get a party where we'll feed you Growler Guys pizzas and Ruben's beer around our fire pit, up to 5 people. We're going to be announcing that winner on Facebook over the next 2 days. So please come back. Make sure to check us out, and then you'll see maybe it's you. Maybe you'll be the winner and be the official Chancellor of Ruebensfest 2021. All right, we're going back to Conrad to close the show up right now.
I've seen that many men. I know this from long experience. All right, guys. So here we are again. Thanks to everybody who's tuned in this evening. We really appreciate it. I know most of you that you see me in public, you know I'm about this, wired and shaken up and running around like a chicken with his head cut off. But those of you who didn't, welcome to me. So here we go, guys. The last little bit. Thanks again. Please come out to Growler, guys. They do have a lot of our great beers on tap. They created some mixed 6-packs, mixed variations of 16-ounce 4-packs, as well as I think they've got 3 different mixed 6-pack 12-ounce varieties, which is really kind of rad. They thought to do that, to kind of have that available option for people to be exposed to a little bit more beer than they may otherwise. You know, we all run into that little bit of getting stuck with the same styles we like, but at least you can try a little bit more from our range of things. So, guys, thank you all so much for joining us. Ruebensfest 2021. Hopefully we get to do that in person. We'll also have, as Kelly mentioned last week, the Chancellor of Ruben's Brews, which will help us pick beers, pick bands, and be a part of this chaos next year. So hopefully we get to do it without a camera, but if not, guys, you'll see me again. So there we go. Thanks so much. Have a good night.